You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast, exposing the struggles and celebrating the successes in the life of coaches who are action takers and creating authentic impact in today's world. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your reach, or exploding your impact, you're in the right place right now. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Now, here are your hosts of the Coach's Journey podcast.
If somebody were to ask you, hey, as a coach in your coaching business, are you commitment phobic? You know, I don't know that I ever would have raised my hand, just asked that question. But actually, we meet a lot of coaches, and we've been those coaches that may actually be or have been commitment phobic. So we're going to unpack that for you on why this matters to you so much and why it's holding you back in your business from creating the business that you intended to create when you became a coach.
Yeah, and if right now you're thinking, I'm not commitment phobic as a coach, well, it's exactly the person who might need to listen today. Because there's lots of different kinds of commitment phobias. And like we all have at different places in our lives at different times in our lives. And so this is going to be such an interesting conversation. I'm super curious to hear from both of you actually on your journeys around commitment too. So this is going to be a fun conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, lots of stories around this to share. I know that I was commitment phobic now that I think about it. I never recognized it, but now I know.
I would have never called myself that, but now that I'm looking back, I'm like, yep, that was definitely that.
Absolutely. So what are we talking about when we say commitment phobic as it relates to your coaching business? Let's kind of create a shared definition so we're all on the same page about what we're actually talking about.
It's kind of hard to define in a way because there's different like contexts that it can occur in. But
I can do it.
Go ahead.
So I'll put it this way. A coach who's saying that I want to build a coaching profession or business, but their actions are not corroborating that claim.
Which is different from someone who says that and is doing all the wrong things. That's not the same as what we're talking about. It's like your actions demonstrate that you're not as committed as you say you are.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the actions, what they might be that are like, you could be taking a lot of actions that might not be the right actions. That's fine. That's a learning journey. But there are a lot of coaches who say that, well, I'm a coach, but they've been certified for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or they claim that they've been a coach for that long, but they have no actions to back it up.
Can I do an example from my personal life that is sort of related, but it'll give us a little metaphor here? Like when it comes to like my love life, back in the days before I was married, I know this is weird, but it's true. Like I was commitment phobic, but I had no idea because like I wrote down like I want a relationship, I want to get married, I want to have kids one day. I wrote that in my vision. But then when the rubber met the road and I was meeting women that I wanted to go on dates with, as things got a little bit more serious, I got like a little bit scared, and I didn't realize that was what was happening. I would resist. I would push back. I would not want to go down that road. And a lot of the people I dated eventually were affected by that. And like, I basically like could not take it to the next level of commitment in my relationships because I was afraid of what that would mean for me. I think subconsciously deep down, I was like, well, if I did that, if I really committed to this, and I didn't hold back, then I would lose freedom, or then I would lose this. And I was focused on like what I was losing, though I knew what I really wanted was like that amazing relationship where I could build a family one day. And like this happened over and over and over again with different people. And like I had to face it eventually. And it was even with my wife today, I struggle with commitment the whole first like part of the relationship because I resisted saying I love her. When I actually did, I resisted like making decisions that would move the relationship forward when I actually wanted it to move forward deeper inside. If I was at that level of like truth of what I really ultimately wanted, I was letting things that I wanted in the moment or in short term or in other areas of my life really dictate what I want in this area of life, which was super important to me, but I just wasn't giving it the importance that it really deserved. If I was really honest, like probably the most important thing in my life was building that family long term. And I was letting other things that were not important, like make me resist that. Like, oh, well, I don't want to move to Chicago to be with her because then I have to give up this thing and that thing and this thing.
But were you aware, was this all subconscious or were you aware of it?
A lot of it was subconscious. It kind of came to the forefront through conversations with, like, I had a therapist at the time and I had coaches that I was talking to, and it was it was complicated. It was super complicated, and it was so subtle. It was so subtle until making I had to come to make the decision to commit and make a choice. And the thing that changed for me was realizing this is like one of the most important things in my life. Why am I not making decisions that reflect my most important priorities? And like that was so hard. And I think there's truth to that in my coaching career too. But like that was like a super obvious example of commitment phobia that I didn't know I had.
Yeah. So when I look at my own life and I'm thinking about Brendan Burchard, so all three of us just happen to be high performance coaches. And Brendan has a framework around fears, that there's kind of three categories of fear that get in the way of us moving forward. And so I think using that as a framework in which to think about this could be super helpful. And one of the things that I've noticed in my own life around my coaching, I would not at all call myself as phobic around around commitment. However, have I had fear around fully committing to coaching because of perceived opportunity loss that I would have in other areas of my life and other career opportunities or other money generating opportunities? Absolutely, yes. And so that's one of the things that I have struggled with, and I see in some other coaches, is this challenge of, but if I fully invest all my time and energy into a coaching practice, what if? And then what if? And then what if, like all these what ifs, but what if it doesn't? And of course, it's always the what ifs that are not pleasing. Like, what if I don't make what I think I could, or I'm not as good as I think I am, or all of these things. And then I think, but if I had done this and stuck on this path or put more time and energy into this thing, then I could have done more or better. So it's this challenge between perceived opportunity cost. That's, for me, that's I would say one of the biggest fears that has gone into this idea of delaying my kind of being all in on coaching.
Sherry, can I ask about that? Do you think that phenomenon, like I have experienced that too, but do you think that phenomenon affects how you show up in your coaching business?
Yeah, absolutely. There have been times where opportunities have presented themselves and I am not I don't jump on it as quickly and with as much energy and enthusiasm as if I wasn't distracted. So it's kind of like the meme that went around a whole lot of like, there's this guy and this girl, they're walking on a sidewalk. Yes. And there's this hot girl that walked by and you see her, and then you see the guy turning around looking, and then you see his girlfriend, presumably, she's like giving him a dirty look. That's what it kind of feels like. Like,
you think the girlfriend is the coaching career and the other girl is like the other distraction thing?
Yes. It's like, I'm not fully committed to what's next to me. I'm not like all in on this, and just super focused on this. I'm kind of, my peripheral vision is searching and kind of and so that's how I view, is like my energy and my time and my abilities, my skill set, my network, all of these things are so scattered. And the more scattered they are, the less effective I possibly can be in what I'm doing with my coaching business.
Just some credit to men with their committed relationship. When there's somebody walking by you, if I'm committed, I've learned to just look straight ahead, but it will catch my eye. I'll be like, and the first thing my wife is very aware of these things, and she tends to get jealous. So she'll be standing with me. Before I even notice anything, she's like, "Did you notice that person?" And this is what I do. Who? Where? It's like, why are you looking? I'm like,
hopefully she's not watching this podcast right now. You'll be totally busted.
Oh, I do the same thing. So I'm working on my jealousy. I'm not near where I used to be, but at my height, like we'd be in a movie theater, my husband would be sitting next to me, and there would be like some sort of, even just the a mildly intimate scene of like kissing her, and I'd be like side looking at him like, oh.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm not allowed to look at those things, just so you know.
But I just want to say, like, this is because there's like a part of life you go through where you need to pay attention to those things, right? If you're going through adolescence or adulthood and you're trying to build a relationship, or you know that you have that desire, you're going to be noticing people of the gender that you're attracted to, right? It's normal. It's not just men, it's everybody. And what you're doing, you're paying attention to what you need in your life. But a lot of times those conditioning, so my struggle with this has been, and this is totally real. It's relevant. I promise we'll get there. But like, I've conditioned myself to look for the thing I want. So when I was dating a lot, I was looking for women that I found attractive and interesting and fascinating and et cetera, et cetera. But then once you're in a committed relationship, those neural pathways have been formed because I spent a lot of time investing into that area of my life, even though I was commitment phobic. And now it's harder for me to like form new pathways. And I've been doing that with my current relationship I've been in for 10 years, we just celebrated. And I've been reconditioning a new pathway. That doesn't unpickle the old pathways, like they're still there and they're still firing. And that's okay to acknowledge that you have those parts of your brain that are doing that thing. But my intention and my, best self is one who focuses my attention on the new pathways, not the old pathways. And it's okay to say like, oh, that thing, I noticed that person, but that's not what I'm interested in right now. My intention is over here. And that's totally fine. I think we can be understanding of humans for having these neural pathways formed because they were useful at one point. Just like with your clients, right? They have old pathways, you're helping them. Just like us as coaches, we have old pathways. And when we move to the coaching industry, there's all these new pathways that need to form. And the old pathways are holding us back from commitment. Because like, it's like almost the same thing. It's like you're dating your business. You should get married to your business, right? So
there you go. Don't date your business. Marry them. Yes.
Which is different from niches. You can totally date niches until you figure out what your niche is.
We just lost a bunch of coaches who are commitment phobic around marriage. It's like, what? Now you're connecting that to marriage for me?
Well, there's a good analogy, right?
There is a good analogy.
So for me, I'd say it showed up a little bit differently. It was very interesting. I still remember, and I've shared this before, the moment it was actually a couple of years into my business when somebody close to me, a close person in my family who basically told me, was like, why are you in this business? You're not making money. You're not getting anything, and in a very negative way. And it was actually very hurtful to me. And I remember sitting down there and thinking about this. And I looked at the past couple of years, like, I'm not making that much money. He's right about that. Why am I in this? What am I doing here? And as I thought about this, as I felt it, the statement that came to mind, that really defined the success for my business. And I actually shared it that way. It was like, you know what? This is really important to me, not just for right now, but I don't care if it takes me 3 years or 10 years to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. And to me, it signaled commitment for me. As soon as I realized it, and from a long-term perspective, I was like, okay, am I actually dedicating my time and effort for it to be that kind of success in 10 years? And thankfully, that kind of woke me up in a sense, and I started to do things differently. And I started to look at my past 2 years, and I was looking at it, and it's like, it looks like I'm doing a lot of stuff, and I was trying different things, but one, a lot of what I was doing, I didn't know if that was going to pay off. So I needed to get help in there. Second, there were certain areas I knew that I wasn't going towards, I was scared of. And I became aware of it as I started thinking, I'm like, I need to deal with that if I'm going to make this a long-term thing. It cannot be the way I've been approaching it. So that click needed to happen for me to understand that. And here's the thing that shifted. My actions were very different before and after that realization. Very, very different.
You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast.